Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the Port St. Joe Polaroid, and I just want to give a warning that this photo is disturbing. So if you're sensitive to images that are disturbing that maybe could be involved in a crime scene, then maybe this isn't the video for you, but there'll be something else that's more suitable. So let's continue. First, we're going to look at the provenance of the Port St. Joe Polaroid and consider, was it a hoax? And if it was a hoax, why hasn't someone come forward to clear up the mystery? And if it wasn't a hoax, were these children kidnapped? So let's get some fresh eyes on this case. Some people have never seen this photo. I hope someone recognizes these children and can clear up this mystery. On June 15th, 1989, in Port St. Joe, Gulf County, Florida, a woman pulled off Route 98 into the Junior Food Store, and she saw a van sitting in the parking lot, and she went ahead and went into the store, and she returned. She saw the van was gone, and there was a Polaroid photograph laying face down on the asphalt. The image she saw when she picked up the Polaroid was terrifying. The picture shows a young woman and a boy seemingly bound in the back of a white Toyota, perhaps, cargo van. And the way that they're laying indicates that their wrists are likely tied behind their backs. Perhaps even their feet are tied together. They clearly have duct tape covering their mouths. Both the young girl and the boy look directly into the camera, and they both have tense expressions on their face. The boy looks utterly terrified. The girl looks ticked off and resigned. It looks as if someone simply opened the windowless cargo door van, aimed the Polaroid right at the kids, and snapped the picture. There's no other internal light source in the picture other than from behind the photographer coming into the scene. The police were called immediately, and the woman told them that when she entered the store, a windowless Toyota cargo van was parked there. She described the driver of the van as a man in his 30s with a mustache. Roadblocks were set up by the officers, but the vehicle was never discovered. Failing to net the cargo van with the roadblock, the police interviewed possible witnesses. The girl was also allegedly seen by another witness on the beach in Port St. Joe on the same day, with several older Caucasian males who were ordering her along the beachfront. The following pictures are just examples of this rare cargo van. I believe the first one is actually a 1989 cargo van. I found these on the internet, so this is a typical Toyota cargo van, windowless, and it does match up with the Polaroid. Here's another vintage photo I found of a windowless Toyota cargo van towing a catamaran. Shout out credit to user AltWolf, who cleaned up the Polaroid over a year ago. So this is the best copy of this photo I've ever seen online. And the photo is so disturbing. Let's look at it in sections to see what we can discern, to see what's in this photograph. So let's look at the girl. She's Caucasian. She's approximately 16 to 17 years old, perhaps 18 or 19. She has brown hair, blue eyes. She's tanned and fit. She has duct tape over her mouth. She seemingly is wearing an Egghead Software t-shirt, black shorts with a slit on the side with a red logo. I'm not sure of the brand. We cannot see her feet, which seem to be propped up against the back of the partition, possibly tied together. We cannot see her hands, but it seems like they're tied behind her back. Note that her legs are shaved. She looks, like I said, either ticked off or resigned. Beside her is a V.C. Andrews book called My Sweet Audrina, and there's also an empty plastic cup beside her. I'm going to circle these in another shot. So let's look at the girl's shirt. It's a small gray t-shirt with a logo on it, and it was suggested that it's the Egghead software, and that seems to match. Let's look at it. This is a vintage Egghead t-shirt for sale, and as you could see, it matches perfectly with the logo, the odd shapes, the color, and the red writing. I wanted to see if we could determine where the Egghead t-shirts were sold, and here from the Funding Universe, they had a piece on Egghead, and it said by early 1988, Egghead operated 107 stores in 13 cities and maintained 40 million of software inventory. Continuing on, Egghead used nearly $24 million raised in the offering to add about 100 new stores and to put the rest into working capital. In one 9-month period, 64 new Egghead stores were opened as the chain tried to saturate the market before it was filled by competitors. As a result of this growth, Egghead stores and corporate sales staff accounted for about 10% of U.S. software sales in 1988. I'm not sure on which coasts the stores were located. They could have been located all around the U.S. I haven't gotten that deep into it, but I just wanted to do a cursory look. I found this post on teddit.net. I guess that's like Reddit, but it's Teddit. A Karen H posted, "That photo has haunted me for decades. I was a manager at Egghead Discount Software, and this picture was sent directly to me when it was found for possible identification of the girl. She was wearing one of our t-shirts. None of us knew her, but to this day, I think about her and the boy." And then a user asks her, "Were the shirts available to the general public? Seems like an employee or a former employee would be a prime suspect." And she replied, "These shirts were one of our best-selling items. We even had tiny baby-sized ones I'd put on my dog. We likely sold a bajillion of them since they were kind of hip then, and we sold them cheap. Free advertising." Now let's look at the boy and what he's wearing. It seems to be from the color of the photo that maybe he's wearing a very light blue t-shirt that I believe has the Spuds MacKenzie advertising logo on it. If I recall correctly, Spuds MacKenzie was the Budweiser dog. Both of these shirts are kind of an odd choice for young kids. The Polaroid was forensically examined, and it was determined that the actual film batch was created after May of 1989. And this photo was found on June 15th, 1989. And Polaroid film would go bad. It had a date on it. It was basically a camera that you stuck in the film. You'd take the picture and you didn't have to wait to develop it. You just kind of held it. Some people shook the Polaroid around. I don't think you really were supposed to. And then it was kind of fun to watch it develop. So the film tended to be made in batches, and the batches were sold. You could see the expiration date type thing on the box when you bought it. And so we can date the taking of this photo between May of 1989 and June 15 of 1989. And one could make the assumption that this group, or at least the person who purchased the Egghead software t-shirt, was technically savvy. And people did like Polaroids because you did not have to take the film in to have it developed at the camera store. Sometimes they had the development places at your CVS and your Walgreens type of store. They would also develop film, but you'd have to turn in your negatives if it was like a Canon or a Nikon or an older style camera. Well, Kodak, you didn't have to do any of that. You just bought the film, stuck it in the camera, took the photo, and waited for the photo to develop in like 2 minutes. There were people that perpetrated offenses that liked to use Polaroids for this reason, because nobody else had to see what was on that film. Now let's scrutinize what appears to be in the van with the children. You can see up in the upper left-hand corner what seems to be a green duffel bag with a gray zipper or a really dirty white zipper. I'm leaning on gray. There's also something next to it, maybe like a box, a white plastic box with something blue in it. Then they have the kids leaning against this, I call it luggage, with some pillows. And it also looks like, when you really look at this photo a long time, it appears that there's like a mattress, like maybe like a blue mattress that's folded upwards with partially part of it up against the partition, and the kids are literally like squeezed into this area with some pillows, mismatching sheets, and then you can see there's plastic cups. There's a plastic cup underneath the girl's leg that's looks like it maybe had water in it. The boy also has a plastic cup. You can see right underneath her knee. There's 2 plastic cups in the photo. There's also a piece of duct tape. I don't know if it was used and ripped off and a new piece applied, but yeah, it's an abandoned piece of duct tape. And there's a book, My Sweet Audrina, and we'll get into that. I was approximately the same age as the girl in this photograph, and I also read a lot of V.C. Andrews. Girls our age, young adult fiction, read a lot of V.C. Andrews. My Sweet Audrina was a gothic horror novel, and it was dark, and it had really dark themes. This is a vintage My Sweet Audrina that's for sale. Note that, of course, it came out first in hardback, and then when it was published in paperback, like the one you see here, and I believe this is a first edition in the picture, it was published in 1985, and in the photograph you notice that the My Sweet Audrina in the picture is a frayed, dog-eared, well-read book, so it had been around a while. People have also said that they can see a partial phone number written on the book. I cannot see that here. If you can, please leave that in the comment section below. The cover of the first edition of the paperback is like this one, where you have this almost like a tower with the gray walls and the red roof with a cutout of a face, and then when you open the novel, then you see the face and the whole picture of My Sweet Audrina on the next page. So it's like a 2-part cover. Additionally, I think the authorities may have mentioned that there's a squirt gun in the photo. I'm going to circle where I think that is. I believe it's a red squirt gun. I also want to add that the writing that you see on the wall of the van, that was added afterwards by the person who cleaned up the photo. So it was kind of like a copyright, or a hey, I cleaned this up. So I'm going to circle that. That's not on the original photo. So the Polaroid was found on June 15th, and then the police tried to do a roadblock to try to find the cargo van and didn't find it. And then they did some witness canvassing, asking folks if they saw the kids. And then a tabloid television news show, A Current Affair, broadcast the picture out. And it was broadcast in New Mexico. They had a segment on this photograph, and the relatives of Tara Calico and a child, Michael Henley Jr., they weren't related, by the way. There were 2 different missing persons cases. They both believed the picture could be their children. This is the photo of Tara Calico. She's missing from New Mexico. And this video here is not going to go deeply into her particular case. I'll do a separate video on that. But we are going to do like a visual pro and con about whether this looks like it could be Tara Calico, and also the other boy in the photo. People thought that the boy could have been Henley. However, it turns out that he was later found deceased in an area, and it didn't look like there was foul play involved, so he's off the table for being the boy in this photo. However, people still believe that Tara Calico is possibly the victim in this picture. Tara's mother believed that the girl in the photo was her daughter, due in part to what appeared to be a scar on the woman's leg, which was similar to the one Calico had received in a car accident. Also, that paperback copy of V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina was said to be Calico's favorite, one of her favorite books, and it's seen laying right next to the girl. If you've been following my YouTube channel, you might already know that I draw faces, and I'm familiar with facial anatomy. I also just get a gut instinct about whether someone, if this could be her. And I do believe that there's a high possibility that it could be her. I also feel like it's kind of inconclusive because we just don't see enough. Now, I understand that the folks look at her eyebrows and see the girl in the photos, eyebrows look straight across, while Tara's eyebrows in almost all her photos have more of a slight arch, very slight, mind you, a very slight arch to them. However, we don't know if the girl in the photo was kind of frowning a little bit, which would change the shape of her eyebrows. Also, her ears are very, very distinctive. They can almost be like a fingerprint. We do not see enough of the ear to make a 100% conclusion, but the ears are very, very similar, and that's a rarity. Furthermore, the thing about the scar, let me see if I can circle where I think the scar is. Tara's mother had said that she had a scar in that same location, so that's quite a unique identifier. So again, here's a picture of Tara not smiling. Here's a picture of Tara smiling, and look at that widow's peak cowlick that she's got going on. And then look at the girl in the photo, also has a very pronounced widow's peak or cowlick. Could it be Tara? 3 agencies over time have analyzed this Polaroid, and here's what they came to. The parents brought in Scotland Yard, and Scotland Yard concluded that the photo was Tara Calico. And I believe the state lab sent the Polaroid off to Los Alamos National Laboratory, who are very reputable. They determined the girl in the photo was not Tara Calico. And then allegedly the FBI looked into it and probably felt like I did, that it was just inconclusive. Like, it was unlikely to be her, they thought, but they thought it was just inconclusive. So they haven't had people agreeing on whether this is her or not. This is the FBI's missing persons poster for Tara Lee Calico, and I do believe there's still a $20,000 reward for her whereabouts or for information leading to her whereabouts. And this is the information that's publicly available from the Charlie Project. Note that they mentioned that she has a large scar on the back of her right shoulder and a scar on her calf. She also has a dime-sized brown birthmark on the back of one of her legs. She also has a lazy eye and a cowlick. Okay, it wasn't a widow's peak, it's a cowlick on her temple. And her ears are pierced. The girl in the picture seems to also have pierced ears. This news story is from August 2nd, 1989. And the Port St. Joe Police Chief Carl Richter said that the FBI had agreed to use other photographs of the children and compare them with the photo in its Washington laboratory to confirm the identifications. He said the police also had received dozens of other tips, but the Henley and Calico cases were considered the only serious ones. And now, again, I just want to mention again that Henley is now off the table as being the boy in the cargo van. He also said the parents and the investigators worried about the consequences of the discovery. He said, quote, "It could be devastating. Whoever has the children, if he hears about it, they may retaliate. It's a possibility." They were alerted to the picture by friends who saw a current affair, and they appeared on the show Monday. So that's the parents. The parents saw a current affair. And so this clipping is from the Albuquerque Tribune from September 19th, 2003. And I'm going to mention this because Albuquerque is going to make its presence known in a very weird way. And it's talking about how Tara's parents, Patty and John Dole, say that the woman in the photo is their daughter, noting that a faint scar on her calf, her hairline, and her ear all match hers. To them, this photo and another found in California indicate Tara was not killed right after her capture and might still be alive. So think this photo was found, 10 months after she went missing, give or take. And this clipping was published in the Albuquerque Journal on September 14th, 2008. So think, time is passing. And it's talking in this little clipping about how she went missing, and then they found the Polaroid and it looked like her in the back of a van, and that the boy was also there bound, lying next to her, and how the parents had had the photo analyzed by Scotland Yard, and Scotland Yard determined it to be her, but then an investigator for the Valencia County District Attorney had Los Alamos National Laboratory analyze it and determined it wasn't. And so this is being discussed in the Albuquerque news media. And then you get the added level of creepy, as if the initial Polaroid wasn't creepy enough. 20 years after it was found and shared by the media, pictures of a boy were sent to the Port St. Joe police chief at that time, David Barnes. He received 2 letters, postmarked June 10th and August 10th, 2009, from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, Tara went missing from New Mexico, but she didn't go missing from Albuquerque. One letter to the Port St. Joe police chief contained a photo printed on copy paper of a young boy with sandy brown hair, and someone had taken over his mouth and drawn a black band in ink on the photo, as if it looked like the tape covered in the 1989 picture. Remember what I was saying about facial analysis? I think this is the same kid. I really do. It's just that in the photo, he's scrunching his face up. Same nose, same ear, same side of the hairline. He just has longer hair and not a buzz cut. But boy, this looks like the same kid to me. And then the second follow-up letter contained the original photo of the boy. And I haven't seen the original photo of the boy released to the public. However, the Doe Network has done a facial reconstruction, and I believe they used that photo, so we get a good idea of what he looked like. Again, this is the boy in the Polaroid. This is his pained, terrified expression. Do you really think this is a hoax? Do you think this kid's a good actor? I don't think so. On August 12th, I guess in order to drive that point further home, seemingly the same person sent that picture that had the mouth marked out to one of the local newspapers. So this all seems to me like very taunting, very kind of BTK behavior, like nanny, 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 you didn't catch me. See if you can figure it out now after decades. It's horrible. And I hope to God that someone is watching this, recognizes one or both of these kids, and can solve this mystery. August 31st, 2009, the sheriff Nugent said, "I think we were just dumbfounded. It is kind of weird these photos came in near the anniversary of the original case, but if someone is trying to send us a clue, send us one we can act on." The development sparked memories for many and revived several unanswered questions. Who are the children in the pictures? Are they deceased, or was it a hoax? If any of my viewers have a subscription to classmates.com and can access anything in New Mexico, especially Albuquerque, see if you can find anything from 1988, 1987, 1986, any kids that look like these two folks. The sheriff said, "Unless something just pops up, I don't know why these letters were mailed here." He does believe the letters New Mexico postmark an arrival near the 20th anniversary of the day the original Polaroid was found might be more than a coincidence. All the letters have been placed in evidence bags and have been sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement lab in Pensacola, where they will be submitted to testing for fingerprints and DNA, and the FBI is not involved in the latest development. They are, however, involved, I do believe, in the Tara Calico case, so I'm also including them in the contact information. So Nugent said that those tests will likely take at least a month. Any new evidence gleaned from the letters would be passed on to New Mexico authorities, where the cases of the missing children remain open. So that was back in 2009, and we don't know, obviously no DNA or fingerprints were retrieved off of the Polaroid. I've never seen pictures of the evidence of the envelopes used to mail the additional photographs of the boy, but allegedly the envelope used some old style writing with the numerals for example, like putting a line through the 7. I do that as well. I think people who are a little older, some of us did do that. People call that like a European style of writing, but without seeing it, I wouldn't be able to say. But that was a style that was used in the 80s by some. If you know this case and happen to have a picture of the envelopes, I would love to see them. Drop me a line in the comments section below. And of course, if you recognize either of these children, please contact the Port St. Joe Police Department tip line at 1-800-227-1414. I've also put their address here on the screen. Or you can contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-225-5324. Or if you'd rather just email them, you could email them at tips.fbi.gov. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you like this kind of thing, push the like, hit the subscribe bell. This video won't be monetized, so the only way I get any kind of traction is if you hit that like and if you hit that subscribe bell. Let's use social media for good. Let's help solve this case. So thank you. Have an excellent day. Take care. Bye.